Hello and welcome to another episode of the Aligned Soul Growth podcast. I'm so overjoyed to be sharing this episode with you. Now, we've got a really special guest. I'm so happy. Ruby Lee is just so powerful and energetic and expansive, and she is just such an activator. Every time I see her stories or anything on social media, or I take any of her classes or I talk to her, she just lights me up, and I know that she will do the same for you. She's got such an incredible energy. She's actually a business and intuitive guide, so she's an intuitive business coach, and she works really closely with helping you align your business to your energy and helping things flow really smoothly, setting up your dream life, creating your vision and an abundant life. She is so incredible, and I just love her energy, and I love everything she offers. In this episode, in this conversation, we dive really deep into stepping into your dream life, becoming your authentic self, allowing yourself to take hold of your vision and run with it. We talk about so much stuff, so I can't wrap it up all in a couple of minutes. You'll just have to listen to it. Make sure you've got a notepad handy. You go and follow her on social media. Trust me when I say you will just love this episode. Eek! I'm so excited for you. Please let me know your biggest takeaway. I'd love to know what stood out for you in this episode. What was activated within you from this episode? I'd love to know. Hit me up on social media, Tanita Sasha, over on Instagram. And just another really quick announcement. We are launching Akashi Sisterhood Circle today. I'm so excited. It is day 1 of the Akashi Sisterhood Circle, which is just so nourishing. It really is. I am so incredibly honored to be leading the Akashi sisters through round 2 of stepping into their dream life, stepping into their calling, stepping into their purpose, and expanding their gifts. So beautiful. I always love the energy of the Akashi Sisterhood Circle. So if you want to know what I'm up to, that is where I'll be focusing all of my energy, getting to know all of the beautiful Akashi sisters, welcoming them in. We're going to be doing some really beautiful introductions, trainings. So I will be sharing all along the way, because I know that with round 1, I was a little bit quiet. I was just so immersed in the energy, but I'm excited to be able to share a little bit more behind the scenes with you all. All right, I won't keep you for any longer. Go and enjoy the episode, and don't forget to let me know what your biggest takeaway was and what was activated within you through this episode. Beautiful. Welcome to the podcast, Ruby. It is so lovely to have you on. I'm really excited to chat with you today.
Thank you so much for having me here. Tanita, I cannot wait to dive into today's topic, and it's so lovely to be here with all of your listeners.
Yes, we're so glad to have you. Honestly, I have just been completely obsessed over you, especially in the past couple of months. Just everything that you've been putting out on social media is just such a ray of light. And I really appreciate, all of the work that you do. And I'm really excited for us to get to know each other a little bit better, and to get your perspectives around, women starting their own businesses and jumping into that. But before we begin, I'd love to hear a little bit about you and a little bit about, your journey and stepping into your business now called Rituals.
Yes. Oh, gosh. So let's see. I have been in my business for just over 3 years, and I call myself an intuitive business coach, which in my world means that I help women activate flow state in business through trusting their intuition, trusting the niggle, trusting the gut feeling, and following the things that might not be as logical and rational, but they come into full guidance because they're so connected to their most authentic self. Before I had the business, I was in corporate as a recruiter in a HR team, working for some of Australia's biggest brands. But somewhere along the way, I just felt so called towards entrepreneurship and becoming a mentor, becoming a coach, sitting on the beach in Santorini somewhere and having a digital nomadic lifestyle. And that was just such an incredible moment in time. And I know that we'll be touching a lot on this today, but I want to just say right now that if you're at the stage right now in your life and in your career where you're wanting to start a business, start a podcast, begin a brand, and you're working for someone else at the moment, or you're doing something that you don't love, you can start today. There are so many cool things that you can do to create that momentum and start moving yourself towards a direction and, you know, all the things that will move you towards your dream life.
Yeah, I'm nodding like ferociously over here because I so agree with you. I think we become almost, conditioned, especially when we're working for somebody else, just to focus on that one thing. And sometimes we hold ourselves back in that sort of way and we think, okay, maybe next week I'll start or the week after. But you're so right. You can start doing something today, even if it's as little as writing a plan or preparing your first podcast episode. It can be so little. And I think that once you get into the habit of finding the time, it definitely becomes more expansive in those areas that you want to create that abundance and create that flow. So thanks for sharing. Yeah, I love that so much. And it's really cool to know about your backstory and the fact that you've been in business for 3 years, because I know now looking at your business, it just looks so incredibly beautiful and it feels so incredibly beautiful. And I can just imagine how good that feels now, knowing where you've come from, but it also gives hope for so many of us as well who are wanting to really create a lifestyle that supports us. So do you have any tips around making that first step?
Yes. Okay. So there was a phase in between working the day job and starting my business, which I call the whole side hustle phase. And I was truthfully swinging so much like a pendulum in this time, making decisions around, do I quit my day job? Can I actually do it? What if I'm able to completely run my business without needing a paycheck to support my dreams? And in this time, I was definitely doing what I thought was the right thing to do. So have the social media posts and learning how to sell, learning how to set up a website, but none of it actually really became a material thing. It was just everything I was learning, but not implementing it. So this is often where I also see a lot of early stage entrepreneurs kind of get stuck sometimes, where you're so in that phase of wanting to learn and wanting to be around people who are inspiring you and that expand you, but you're not wringing out the sponge. You're not actually putting it into action. It wasn't until I decided, and like you said earlier, something as simple as creating a plan. For me, that version was just grabbing my Instagram handle. I didn't even have Instagram at this time, but just saying, I'm going to use this handle. And I know one day it's going to become a flourishing Instagram account. And then that led me on to jumping into Canva and creating some quote cards. That's how I got started on socials. I was too afraid to actually be on camera and to speak on stories, and hell no to ever doing a live stream. Like, I was so anxious about that. But where I knew I could start was a quote card, and just quotes that inspired me. And this was easy for me to post because it was somebody else's words and it was just me saying, this is resonating. That's how I began my social media journey. That's also how I began this whole crazy ride that was personal branding, beginning a business, starting to sell, and then growing it into the multiple seven-figure empire that is today.
Yeah, it's beautiful. That's so awesome. And, one of the key things that I just got from that is, even if you are around inspiring people and you're not quite there, or you're wanting to be there and you're feeling that comparison-itis, start where you feel comfortable starting, because that is going to give you the most growth. And like you said, you can only learn and gain so much without actually putting it into practice. And it's this practice of practice, right? We need to learn how we also engage with what we want to, because I know for me personally, and I know for so many other people, you get taught, or you see someone run a business the same way and you try and copy that, but it doesn't feel aligned to you. And that's why we have to go through these processes of starting little, starting where you feel good, and then just continuously like expanding broader and broader.
Absolutely. And it's amazing how what seemingly feels like a really tiny step ends up having such massive returns. And you'll look back in 12 months, in 24 months, in 3 years, and you will absolutely thank yourself for just making that tiny step forward. Mm-hmm. And to this day, I will still have people saying, I remember your first social media post.
Oh, wow.
And I know, it's crazy. Like 3 years ago, I've been following you since that first video. So past the quote cards, I then started to muster up somewhere from something, the courage to film a really short video for LinkedIn. So LinkedIn was actually the first place I began my brand. Wow. It made sense because I was in corporate, I was in HR. It was like the main platform that I was using. And LinkedIn is very video heavy, kind of like a Twitter, but with videos. So I thought, well, I'll do a quick 30-second video, basically introducing myself to my entire network. And I posted it that day. I literally posted it, threw my phone on the bed, ran out of the bedroom, closed the bedroom door, like the phone was going to explode on me or something. I don't know, but I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I just did that. I was so worked up and so nervous and shaking. And by the time I got back to my phone to check if anybody actually saw the video, there were so many encouraging messages just going, oh my God, Ruby, this is so beautiful. I'm excited to follow your journey. And I swear from that moment, I was like, oh no, now I've made a commitment. I'm going to have to show up now. And because I did say in the video, I'm going to try and document my process of, navigating through this world of working out who I am and just discovering more of who is Ruby Lee and where is this journey going to take me. And that was truly the beginning of setting myself on a path of being authentic, being connected to my audience, and the discipline of showing up every day. So I've actually showed up every single day on socials since that day.
Wow, that's awesome. That's really beautiful. And, it's funny because we were chatting, before this, and I was saying, beginning your own business, you better be committed to your own personal growth, because it is going to bring up so many things for you, so many growth opportunities for you. But it's a really, really great place just to get to know yourself better and to start to realize that you can actually create a life that you're proud of, that feels good, that works with you and not against you. And I think it's a really beautiful way of putting the power back into your hands. If that's something that you're called to do, then it's a really, really beautiful thing to lean into, and it can give you so much growth. And it's also so funny that I always pull a card before I jump on here. And the cards that I pulled was light and dark. So you were talking about the pendulum swing between, working corporate and doing this work. And the other one that jumped out was willpower. And what I got from that was you continuously showing up every single day. And I think that those are two really, really big messages for those that are listening. You can't have one without the other. You need to take that first step to get to the next one. And you need to have that willpower, even when the fear feels overwhelming.
Oh my God, I love those cards. My eyeballs just popped out of my head when you said willpower, because I was just literally talking about the discipline behind it. What card deck are you using?
It's the Terra Q Oracle deck.
Oh,
Oh, I have to
gorgeous.
show you. I know, they're really beautiful.
Oh, that is so stunning. I love
Oh,
them.
I'll
Oh,
send you a photo.
yes, beautiful. I can see your background with all the cool
Yeah.
things. It's just your oracle card decks and the books and all of that, the dream catcher.
Yeah.
And I have to also say, I have been loving the way that you are also fiercely honoring your journey, you know, taking a step back and resetting and working out, okay, what feels good and feeling safe in that place of the inner work and discovering where to from here. I think there is something so honorable about that. And it is the most authentic way that we can really create our businesses. We're not here to continue pushing and hustling. And that's not what willpower is. Willpower is also, it can be interpreted in the sense of having the will to also create space for the rest and taking a breath and not pushing against the traditional sense of willpower, but doing it in so much flow and so much ease. And this is where concepts like feminine flow comes in and answering the more yin energy and going with the thing that feels good. Because what happens is when you feel good, you get into a level of alignment. Everything within your body and your cells is screaming out, yes, 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 let's keep going this way. If you're feeling this sense and this pull of, I need to do it, I have to do it, or I'm launching, or I need to sell to make money, and this just has to work, otherwise, oh, I'm going to be perceived and judged in a certain way. That's not the kind of willpower we're talking about here. Perhaps even leaning on the card light and dark. There's a light side to willpower and a dark side of willpower. And so it's up to you along this journey, especially early on, in working out what that means to you. Nobody can answer that question but you. And from my own personal experience, there have been times where I've gone down the shadow side of willpower, and that just led me very quickly to feeling inadequate, burnt out, frustrated, and angry at myself. And sometimes that U-turn is the thing that puts you back on the straight and narrow according to your energetic blueprint.
Yeah, 100%. And it almost gives you that momentum to keep going, because you now know what it does feel like to be unaligned and to be, giving out so much energy and not really having it come back in. The other thing that was just coming up for me as you were talking was, it's really important that we're tapping into this feminine energy, but it's also really important that we're giving it space to breathe, right? We also need that masculine container. And if you are overworked, if you're overtired, if you've got all of this programming within you that isn't allowing you to expand your horizons, then it's not going to be able to flow properly. So I 100% agree with you. But I also think if there are women who are, I still work in financial planning, and then I do this, and it's important for me to have these both, but it needs to have a container to breathe in as well.
Oh, I love that so much. What a beautiful contrast, and creating a space for both worlds to exist so in flow with each other. And it's so funny as you said that. I work with my husband, who's also my business partner. We actually both quit our jobs at the same time to go all in with this one. We were like, if we're going to do this, let's just back it 100%. Enough of dipping our toes in the water. We're smart, employable people who surely can figure out this entrepreneurship thing. So let's do it together. And I've seen him over the years just go and go and go and go and go. Like he could sit at his laptop all day.
Wow.
And just the divine masculine.
Yeah.
Like no break. Like if you really think about it, the guys, like they don't really truly understand cycles in terms of the way we do, the way that we're made up.
Yeah.
And whenever I think about moments where I'm like, oh, I just need to take a pause or a stop, or I can't go so hard anymore. There were times where I was trying to keep up with him in that divine masculine, and I honor it and I respect it. But it was almost like such a fight to get this body of mine to surrender into what it meant in the rest, and in that, okay, sometimes we just need to kind of have this moment to work out what's next, what feels good, replenish our cup, and being proud of feminine divine flow. And what that means, it's not being lazy. Instead, it's actually propelling you so much further, more than you could ever imagine.
Yeah. Oh, I love that so much. Giving yourself that space and that time to really connect within, because ultimately we have all the answers already within, don't we? We know the steps already. It's just a matter of getting really clear on them and trusting ourselves and backing ourselves. And I think, something that's been coming up a lot for me, and you just, mirrored that again, which is working with the seasons that you're in and honoring the different seasons that you're in. If you're in this mode of, creating so much stuff, go with it. Why go against it? And if you're in this season of wanting to lean back and replenish everything, then lean into that as well. Because ultimately, if the two energy channels are going against each other, you're not going to have as much output as you wish. So I love that. And I also have heard that you're going to be taking some time, which I think is beautiful. What have you got planned over the break? That's exciting.
Do you know what? I have never done this in my business. So perfect to speak about this. So in the 3 years, I have had a lot of rest and a lot of holidays. I actually did fulfill my dream of becoming a digital nomad, and I traveled the world for almost 12 months before everything changed. The whole world changed. So that was incredible. And I had, but even in the travel, it's still go, airport, check in, next country. You're so excited. You just want to get out there. This is the first time in my business that I have felt safe enough. It's a really interesting word, to feel safe enough to take 6 weeks out, completely out of the business. I don't know what that means yet. I don't know if that means no socials. I don't know if that means just no coaching. But what I do know and feel inside is that there's going to be this incredible time of leaning back. Also, it's like a vantage point, like just have a look and celebrating this whole journey so far and how far we've come. And for those of you listening, thinking to yourself, oh, I don't know if I've got much to celebrate, even just getting to this point in your business and looking back to where you were this time last year, all the knowledge you've developed, all the skills you've learned, everything you've picked up from even learning how to do an Instagram reel, something as simple as that. And you think, wow, like I've come so far. These vantage points are just, I think there's such a beautiful moment to have in business. So I don't know. I'm based in Queensland. I suppose we're so blessed and abundant to have the ability to be out and about, but I do really miss the aspect of traveling.
Yeah.
And this is going to be a really different 6 weeks. This is going to be a really different vacation, because I think it's just going to be slow pace, days at the beach, just family time and, connection to soul.
Yeah, I'm in Queensland as well, and we are incredibly lucky here, but I do know what you mean. We've got, family down in New South Wales, and you're like, oh, you're so close, but yet so far. But I think that this time off is really necessary, and we all have to go through this time of reflecting and looking back. And something that I actually just started doing is what I'm calling an abundance journal. So every time I feel something really abundant happens, or I make a little win in my business, I actually write it down. And I was looking back, and you, just like you said, you have to look back and give yourself a pat on the back, because the little tiny steps create such big momentum. I'd also really love to chat with you a little bit about having those rituals in your business to really set you up. Do you have any ones to really help, the women listening?
Oh, yes. I am the same as you. I love me a good journaling session. It's actually, I sort of call it my gateway into spirituality.
Oh, beautiful.
I didn't actually realize it was such a spiritual practice, because I've done it since I was little. I remember getting my first journal when I was 9 years old, classic padlock, fluffy pen, all of that. And it was just my first sort of experience really accessing my inner thoughts. And it was so sacred to me, even back then, the boys I liked, or how much I was annoyed at my parents, and all the things and as I sort of started to really deepen my journal practice, especially since becoming an entrepreneur, I realized how beautiful that is, almost therapeutic in terms of shifting energy, realizing what's real and what's not real, being able to change your reality, being able to quantum leap and collapse time and create new possibilities for yourself. So that has definitely been a part of my daily practice since forever. And sometimes I just want to make a point of this. Sometimes it's literally one line. Journaling doesn't have to be this big old saging experience and rubbing your crystals and having your essential oils going. That's beautiful. Of course it is, but it literally can be one line. Yeah. And there are days where I feel like, so, frustrated. We have those days. It's part of our cycle, or something's happening with the moon. And I've got my pasta boiling on the stove, and I'll grab up my journal and just write until the pasta's ready. And I'm like, okay, I'm good. So that's been one. Another thing that I really love is my meditation practice. And I have now learned meditation in a way that I can drop in quite deep pretty fast. I've done a lot of hypnotherapy. I've done a lot of Joe Dispenza's work around meditation, and I'm able to immediately kind of drop into this level of, we're in the vortex, we're there. But when I started, it was just guided meditation and apps. I would start with 2-minute meditations, which was actually run through my work. I was really grateful for that.
Beautiful.
We would do these like lunchtime things, and 2 minutes, and then I realized how clear my mind felt. And when I was doing yoga quite a bit, right at the end, you have this like beautiful time to lay down and breathe. There was something about that which really activated clarity of thought. So important in business, especially when there's a million things running in your mind. So I'd say those are the two things that are a really big part of my rituals. And how that links into business could simply be, I do a journaling session and it inspires an Instagram post for the day. I do a meditation practice and inspires me to go live and talk about that experience, because I'm so clear of mind. It's like I've deleted all the cookies, deleted the junk box. I'm good. I feel like optimal again. And there's my energy to show up in that space. So whilst it might seem so separate to business, it's not. It's so integrated. And I love my oracle cards too, and my tarot cards. Yeah.
Of course. Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah, I totally agree that clarity of mind and clear energy is so incredibly important. And it's funny, I was watching some really old stories that I had done when I first started my Instagram page, and you can sense the fear and the anxiety. And then you can sense the days where I was just showing up because I wanted to. And now I make a really big effort not to show up when I don't have that energy there, or try and do something to help alleviate some of that. And those are the two practices that have also helped me the most, is clearing that energy and getting really clear on what I want, because I think it's so easy to have a million thoughts going on that 90% aren't even yours. There's somebody else's energy that you're picking up on. And it is important for us to clear everything down and integrate them just a little bit better. And yeah, I love that about the inspiration and just getting really clear and connected. It is all intertwined. The business that you create, especially if it's soul aligned and it's a conscious business, it's always going to be, another part of you. It's going to be an extra representation of yourself. So yeah, I love that so much.
Absolutely. And if you're listening going, I don't know what would work best for me, one of the most fun things you can do, especially if you're in lockdown or, you're not able to do so much, there's so many modalities available to us now, especially in the online world, where if, let's say, you want to explore something like, you heard me say hypnotherapy, it's like, oh, there are so many beautiful hypnotherapists online that actually help program for business success and breaking down fears. Breathwork has been a really beautiful outlet for me as well. And I've discovered that in the online world. So give it a play, give it a go. There's a ton of teachers and healers out there who can help you. Definitely reach out to Tanita. I'm sure you have so many tools as well that you share from this place. And it's so beautiful to see then how it changes your energetics around showing up in your business. It will make such a big difference.
Yeah, I totally agree. And that's right. Like, please don't forget that you're not alone in this. You don't have to go in it all by yourself. There are so many resources and people out there who want to help and who have the tools to help you do it. You're not the first person who's wanting to start a business or in your first year of business. There's so many other women out there. Another thing that I love doing is, just connecting on Facebook groups, just talking to other women who are going through similar experiences. It takes away so much of the stress when you're not alone and you're able to talk with somebody about, everything that's going on. One last question, but what is the best piece of advice you've been given by somebody else? And do you remember who it's from?
Oh, best piece of advice. Gosh, that's a really good one. I've had so many mentors and expanders in my life, but I think one of the big ones was, maybe it was my first mentor actually in corporate. So going way back, it was like my first ever leadership mentor. And she said to me, her name was Cheryl, and she said to me, there is something powerful about a woman who can self-lead, not needing to rely on a lot of the other exterior things that go on, or voices or opinions, because I think as women, we're so open to that. We're usually so open to receiving advice or leaning on our girlfriends and going to, that mother energy of what should I do? And I remember she was teaching me what that meant in answering that from your point of leadership, and coming into a place where if you're able to set that standard for yourself, it's like everything else falls into place. If you're able to make the choices and set decisions and create from a place of clarity and focus, it's amazing how much your reality around you also begins to shift, where things suddenly become more certain and more clear. And there's not like a million options that you're not sure what to choose. There's like 2 options and they're both great and you want them both. So I really learned from that point in my life. I think I was just, over like 25, 26 years old, beginning to understand and step into me as a leader, which then helped me make way better decisions in my life as a whole.
Yeah. Oh, I love that so much. I really love that. And just reminding you that you have the power of choice. You have that ability within you to lead your own life. And I think something that we all need to be reminded of, that you have this ability to lead your own life and make your own choices and create a life that, is yours ultimately. Yeah.
Exactly. And I think to couple that, a favorite quote of mine, I don't know who owns this quote, but when I was doing Instagram quotes, that's how I started. This one always stuck with me. And it was, whether you think you're right, whether you think you can or you can't, you're right.
Yeah.
So it's like, wow, that at that stage when I was just starting out, so afraid to post, worried about judgment, mostly I was thinking about was, maybe it's not going to work out. I don't think I can do this. I can't do this. I can't do this. And that really gripped me for 2 to 3 years in my side hustle. And it wasn't until I said to myself, you know what, I can do it. I think I can do it. I'm going to start finding people who have done it to show that it's possible. And all of a sudden, everything started to shift very fast towards open doors, opportunities, being invited on podcasts, my Instagram following growing, suddenly a sale. And it was just one thing after another. So thinking about, where are you placing more of your thought on the things that aren't going to help you move forward, and all of the narrative in your head about what if it doesn't work out, and doing this exercise in your journaling about what if it does work out? What if it's the best thing that ever happened to you? What if you are that standout mentor, coach, service provider, digital agency that Australia, the world has seen up to this point in time. And that will start giving you such a spark and such an excitement, such a place of hope to leap from.
Yeah, oh, that's so true. Being able to shift that perspective within us is really important, right? And it's also about being able to catch yourself out when you're starting to think like that, because sometimes it just happens automatically. We can't even hear ourselves making this. And then all of a sudden, there's this moment of awareness where you can catch yourself and you can shift that narrative. And it's not about you being wrong or you placing judgment on this. It's about, okay, I understand I had that thought of maybe it won't work out, but what if it might? What if it does work out? I love that so much. And that's something that I've been chatting a lot to Align Soul Growth about at the moment, which is the power of your thoughts and being really, really conscious and aware about the thoughts that you choose to have and backing up any negative thoughts that come, because they always, they come, it's natural, we're human, but backing them up with a more expansive, more abundant thought. Yeah, that's really beautiful. Oh, well, thank you so, so much for chatting with me today. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Tanita. That was an amazing conversation. I feel so lit up. I hope everybody listening in is also feeling the same way. And it's just been such a beautiful, beautiful way to spend today.
Yes, thank you so much. I'd love to hear, where everybody can find you. And I know you are taking a break, but this, from recording, it will come out in about 4 weeks. So if there's any ways that people can work with you until you take time off, or how they can find you.
Yes, definitely. So come and find me. I hang out on Instagram at _RubyLee_, or seeing you're already here listening to a podcast, you can come over to my podcast, which is called Rituals to 7. And yeah, I walk you through the whole journey of spiritual flow in business. So yeah, if you are wanting to work with me, I am enrolling for 2022, but yeah, just send me through a DM and we can absolutely chat about what would be best.
Yay. And I am just going to back up Ruby's podcast because I've binged so many episodes. It's so beautiful and so expansive. And I always leave with 100 million ideas just ready to go. So
cool.
I love your podcast. So thank you so much for chatting with me. And I hope you have a beautiful, beautiful afternoon.
Thank you so much, Tanita. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you so much for tuning into another one of our episodes. I'm so, so grateful that you're here. Now, if you love this episode, if you got something out of it, please let us know by hitting rate, subscribe, and review on this podcast episode. And don't forget to check us out on social media. All of the handles are in the description below. And I'm looking forward to connecting with you more in future episodes.